Hello, and welcome to today's Pop-Up PD, Instructional Practice from In-Person to Remote Learning. I'm Carol Dibble from the Connecticut State Department of Education Turnaround Office, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Greg Dresko, a consultant from the Turnaround Office. As you know, Pop-Up PDs are designed to be quick, timely professional learning to meet the needs of our schools that we serve. Today's PD is a quick learning kickoff to highlight 10 effective instructional strategies and how to bring them to life in the remote setting. We hope you will make a plan today to take this professional learning on instructional strategies back to your staff.
So here are our learning targets for our series as a whole. First, we're going to examine effective instructional strategies. Second, we're going to exchange ideas for bringing these instructional strategies to the virtual classroom. And third, we're going to learn from one another throughout the series. Next, here's our learning targets for today's sessions. First, we're going to consider effective instructional strategies. Second, we're going to familiarize ourselves with professional learning tools to promote effective instructional strategies. And as we said on the previous slide, we're going to hopefully learn something from one another. So here's an overview of the series. Today kicks off a series of professional learning. This is going to be available this week on the Turnaround Office website under the Professional Learning tab. And there you're going to find 2 pre-recorded pop-up PD on-demand sessions. Each of these asynchronous sessions will include 5 effective instructional strategies. There's also going to be a reflection rubric and ideas for implementing these instructional strategies in the remote classroom, and as well as an on-demand PD playlist that's available at the CT Educator Learning Hub. We will also be talking later in the session about how you and your teachers can share the innovative and effective instructional strategies implemented in a remote setting.
We always begin with the why. John Hattie's work looked at a variety of influences on student learning and found one of the greatest impacts on student outcomes to be collective teacher efficacy. Teachers make the difference. Teacher effectiveness is dependent upon teachers having a deep knowledge and understanding of subject matter, along with pedagogical ability. Around the country, schools have shown significant gains and narrowed achievement gaps by focusing on high leverage, researched teaching strategies that work. Closing the gap and creating conditions for student success is why we must focus on these high leverage strategies. The best way to impact behaviors like low attendance and student engagement is to use effective instructional strategies that engage and excite students about learning. In 2020 and 2021, this has become even more important to employ these effective instructional strategies to reach our students in person and in the remote classrooms. All of the effective instructional strategies are transferable to the remote teaching setting. The product of the use of effective instructional strategies, whether it's in person or remote, is improved student outcomes.
So there are many effective instructional strategies. When you go to the PD on-demand playlist, there's going to be articles, podcasts, and videos that highlight the many different strategies. For our pop-up PD, we have chosen 10 strategies to focus on during this professional learning. These strategies were chosen because of their transformative impact on teaching and learning. As you participate today, you may say that we've left off a must-do for your school and community. Every school has many needs, and we encourage you to continue with the strategies that get the best results for your students. If they're not getting results, we're going to challenge you to consider that it might be time for a change. Let's take a look at the 10 effective instructional strategies that we're going to be highlighting in the upcoming professional learning series for teachers.
The first is setting the learning goal. Teachers may call them objectives, learning targets, or learning intentions. Regardless of what they're called, learning goals are at the heart of the lesson. This is the intended learning outcome, what students will know, understand, or be able to do as a result of today's learning. Without a clear picture of the learning goal, the lesson's going to fall flat and just seem like a series of tasks. The goals should be communicated, and students should understand how today's learning fits into the bigger picture of the learning unit. Adding the criteria for success helps the goal come to life and lets students know what they must achieve to be successful. Posting learning targets in kid-friendly language will keep students informed about the learning goal. These targets should be standards-based, grade level aligned, and referred to often to help students see how the learning fits into the bigger picture. In the remote setting, the learning targets should be present throughout the lesson slides, visible in the background of the video, or posted at the top of all learning assignments.
The next instructional strategy that we chose are visual supports. Visual supports might be anchor charts, models, or using manipulatives. These supports help students anchor their learning and provide references to reinforce new or previously learned concepts. Models help students use concrete tools to understand more abstract ideas. Many students need this visual reference to connect with the words that they hear to develop a deeper understanding. Visual models can foster learner independence and self-efficacy, which supports the development of a student's academic identity. We want students to see themselves as capable, independent learners. As many schools move towards this remote learning, we find that there are many visual tools and manipulatives that are available on the internet for free to support teaching and learning. We encourage schools and communities to search out those free resources to see what works best for your schools.
The next teaching strategy is explicit teaching. Allowing students to construct understanding and make meaning is important, but so is explicit teaching. Explicit teaching is not standing at the head of the class and giving a lecture for 30 to 45 minutes, leading to unengaged students and even possibly bad behavior. Research tells us that only 10% of the information is retained when active engagement does not occur every 20 to 30 minutes. Explicit teaching may come in many forms. It might be a mini lesson to kick off the learning, or creating a short instructional video for students to watch before they come to class, or meeting with a small group to give targeted instruction based on the needs identified in the exit ticket from a previous lesson, or even conferring with individual students with a planned learning focus in mind. All of these forms of instruction bring on explicit instruction. This is where you show, you tell, you explain, define, and connect information and guide students to develop a new understanding. The platforms like Peer Deck, Google Classroom, or Google Meets, to name just a couple, are some of the platforms we see our schools using for remote learning to serve as tools for explicit teaching.
The next instructional strategy are concept maps. Concept maps are created by students to help them connect new learning and ideas. It helps them make meaning of new information and consider how this information is important to them as well as to other concepts. Deeper meaning and understanding comes from deeper connections. There are concept maps that are available for free that can be used in virtual learning, and they're ready for every subject. And most of these are readily available on those learning platforms that Carol just mentioned through the explicit teaching.
Our next strategy is bringing tasks to the classroom that promote reasoning, problem solving, and productive struggle. Research shows us that great teaching and poor quality tasks will lead to low performing results. But a great task and good teaching will result in high student learning. Even low-level teaching and a great task will lead to moderate learning results. It's important to provide students with great tasks that are aligned to grade level standards, that require problem solving and reasoning, and that adequately challenge students in productive struggle. Too easy, and no learning is going to happen. Too hard, and students aren't going to really be able to engage in the task. Offering more open-ended tasks with easy access and a high ceiling for complexity is a great way to offer students challenging and attainable tasks. High-quality tasks can be brought to the online learning classroom using the instructional platforms that we've mentioned before.
So the next instructional strategy are called worked examples. Providing students with worked examples help them understand what success looks like. It also helps them reason about the way the work is done to develop their own rules and understanding. Exemplars set the expectation and the bar of what good work looks like. Examples can be used as a tool to help students develop a procedural understanding of a concept in a step-by-step way as seen on the right. On the right, the work is done completely on the left side and moved all the way to the right side, back to the beginning of the problem, so the student can see what it looks like as a finished product all the way to the beginning. Teachers can create videos of the methods and processes of the exemplars they create for students to review for additional information and help. And again, going back to many of the learning platforms, there's many apps and pre-created videos out there that teachers can use to show students how work can be done.
Our next strategy is questioning. Right answers are necessary, but they're not sufficient. Asking questions where there's only one right answer doesn't challenge students to develop and share their thinking or understanding of a problem. Wrong answers should be met with probing questions to uncover misunderstandings and challenges. Bloom's taxonomy and Webb's DOK can guide teachers to plan for and include a variety of questions to develop meaning and sense making. Students should not be allowed to just give a right answer, but they should be challenged to explain their thinking and make connections to prior learning or the world. There are many platforms for teachers to post questions and for students to engage and respond. Every remote learning platform includes a chat feature that can support great questioning.
Students need practice. They don't need 30 of the same old problem with different numbers to practice today's learning, such as 2 times 2, 4 times 4, 10 times 10. They need to practice conceptual tasks that develop and provide evidence of understanding of the day's learning target and completion of the success criteria. The learning platforms that we've talked about numerous times used for remote learning offer students the opportunity to engage in independent practice that can both be monitored by teachers to see that students are developing understanding, as well as allowing teachers to respond quickly with appropriate and effective feedback.
And speaking of feedback, that's our next instructional strategy. Feedback impacts student learning positively or negatively. Not all feedback to students needs to be evaluative. In fact, the goal for most feedback should be to help students learn. What are they missing? What are they doing well? To positively impact learning, the feedback needs to be timely and specific so that students can correct, develop, and improve. Feedback should not be a gotcha, but a way to coach students to understanding. Many of our remote learning platforms allow us to give direct feedback interactively in the moment to support student learning.
And oftentimes this feedback that's provided leads way to classroom discussions. Humans are social and many of us are social learners. Talking through new ideas helps us make connections and develop a deeper understanding. Collaborative conversations aid in developing understanding. Staff to students, peer to peer, and small group conversations all play a role in development of ideas and development as citizens. Explicitly teaching students to engage in collaborative conversations creates the conditions for productive classroom conversations. In the remote learning setting, breakout rooms, chats, online discussions, as well as group projects are all available for students and teachers to use to produce classroom discussions.
So these are our 10 instructional strategies that we will be highlighting in our pop-up PD on Demand series. 2 professional learning sessions will be available, or actually are already available on our website, highlighting these 10 strategies and the ideas for bringing these instructional strategies to the virtual classroom.
So we ask you to take a moment to consider this information and the tools that we just provided for you. How might you use these tools with your staff to support teacher growth? You might share the teacher video for them to watch before a team meeting. As they come to the team meeting, they might discuss and choose an effective strategy to implement within the next week. They can plan to share out their experiences at the next team meeting. After the teachers have participated in the pop-up PD, ask them to share at the staff meeting their positive experiences with implementing these new teaching strategies.
Maybe a must-see strategy from your building was not among the 10 strategies today. We want to ask you to think about how you might bring that strategy to life in this professional learning. In our live sessions, one principal shared that her school was focused on the ABCs plus learning targets. These learning targets were actionable, behavior-focused, and created conditions for learning. And the plus is in order to do something. Now she's going to share with her staff, adding the criteria for success. If one of your must-see strategies is small group instruction, for example, consider how you might bring in the strategies we've discussed today to support small group instruction. For example, explicit teaching or high-quality tasks, classroom discussion are all effective strategies that can enhance small group instructional time. Do you want to learn more? Do you want more learning for your teachers about effective instructional strategies? You can check out the PD playlist. Teachers can use this tool to guide their learning, and you can support them through staff discussions after teachers engage in the learning. The PD playlist is available at the CT Learning Hub for teachers.
So as you engage in the work with your staff, we want you to look for these opportunities to celebrate the work of your teachers and your community. When you see examples of these instructional strategies in the remote learning environment, please take a quick video, snap a picture or 2 or 3, and write a quick description and share it with us. We're going to be gathering these examples from the field in a follow-up pop-up PD that's coming out in February. We know that great things are happening here in Connecticut, and we want to showcase the work of your teachers and their effective instructional strategies in the remote learning environment for all to see and to learn. As you can see on this slide, my email is right there at the top, greg.dresko@ct.gov. And right there in the middle, we don't want you just to tell us about it, we want you to show us.
Thank you for joining us today. Coming in February, the two of us will be hosting a pop-up PD on effective assessments in the remote learning environment, and we hope you'll be able to come back and join us then. Also, a new pop-up PD series will begin on January 20th called Building Community, Promoting Relationships Virtually and in Person. It will include great information about building the community, your classroom and school communities in 2021. We've included our emails here today and invite you to reach out to us with any questions or if there's any way that we can assist you as you bring this professional learning to your staff. Please stay tuned for our final slide highlighting the resources we use to prepare this PD. Thank you again for joining us and stay safe.